Well, the key to the tunnel of pain is it's a group of several large bedding areas, and basically we sneak in on a southwest wind. We're on the downwind edge of those bedding areas, and the bucks, now that we're in the late seeking phase, the bucks, the bigger bucks, the mature bucks, are on their feet and searching those bedding areas. It's one of those crazy mornings you just wait for it. It's dead calm, almost no wind whatsoever. Everything's just damp, and you just feel like, my gosh, the mature bucks are gonna be on their feet. We're gonna see some crazy stuff today. I just know it's gonna be one of those great mornings. One of my favorite tactics to use when it's foggy is to muffle the call down a little bit. A lot of times use an immature buck grunt with the call muffled, just so that I'm not spooking any deer that are close to me. When it's foggy and wet like that, they could be very close and I have no idea that they're there. And that's one of the most important keys to calling, is to try and match your volume to the conditions that are going on. You should always try and err on the side of being too quiet at first and then ease it up a little bit further as you go along so that you don't blow a buck out of there. And the reason I'll use an immature buck grunt a lot of times is it stands a very low percentage of spooking a buck. It's a very common sound in the timber this time of year when the bucks are starting to get ramped up into breeding. They're walking through the timber and grunting all over the place. And yet it still can be a very effective call, because a mature buck that hears an immature buck grunt, he may think, hey, what's going on down there? Is that buck with a doe? Is there some deer activity down there? I think I'll go down and check it out. And you can combine it with a doe grunt. Then you start to paint a very believable scenario to a buck that there's 2 deer down there and I better get down there and check it out.
We're back in the tunnel of pain. Haven't set foot in here in an entire year. No trail cameras, no penetration of any kind. We're back in here in this stand. It's a foggy morning on November 3rd. Got high hopes that we'll at least see some good activity in here. The bucks have really been moving lately. Gotta see what's going on in the tunnel of pain this morning.
Well, we got settled in the stand. We're quietly looking around trying to figure out, are there any deer in our area? And I see a buck up the hill, a good buck up the hill. And he's quietly sitting up there in the honeysuckle. I realize, hey, I'll hit him with a short call, an immature buck grunt, see if I can get him to come down the hill. So I grab the extinguisher, let out a short call. And he turned our way and starts heading right down the hill. It's bedding area all up above this area, and then there's a trail system, maybe 5 or 6 braided trails that all came down the edges of these ravines, and we created a singular trail out of those that goes by the stand right at 20 yards. And this buck is easing down the hill towards us. I get the binoculars back on him and I realize it's a buck I'm not familiar with. I just don't recognize him. Ghost buck come in from who knows where, with the pre-rut. He could be from a mile or 2 away. Judging his body, it's a giant buck. I know he's huge. He's at least 6 years old. And so I make the decision, I'm gonna try and harvest him right now. And he's easing through this honeysuckle and just not quite giving me a shot, and I'm waiting, we're patiently waiting. And he starts to step clear of that honeysuckle finally, and I know he's headed right for the same spot I killed my buck last year. He's headed right down that barricaded trail we made, and he's gonna give me a shot at 20 yards. And so I'm just kind of waiting for him to clear the last bits of brush so that I can draw. He gets down to the very bottom. He's got 1 twig left in the way. I'm waiting, and finally he starts to step clear of that twig. I drew.
There.
Follow him.
I just cannot wait to get out of the tree, get on the ground, and get over to this buck and see what he is and get closer to him.
Beautiful, big 6-year-old buck. came into the extinguisher, finished right in front of us, and gave me a beautiful 20-yard shot. I made the best shot I could, hit him right behind the shoulder, and he circled 30 yards and KO'd into the creek. Just a huge crash, just tipped over in the creek. Incredible giant buck. I'm super, super excited. This is the Tunnel of Pain stand that I killed my buck in last year.
So the key for me to be able to harvest this buck out of the Tunnel of Pain is a three-pronged approach. There's the overall scheme of creating a sanctuary area that I cannot go in because of the wind swirl and things. I cannot enter this area. I have to stay out of it for 362 days and then get in there at just the right time when I know the pre-rut is really cranking. And then secondly, micromanaging the trail systems in the area a little bit with a good solid system that steers deer right past the tree stand so that I can effectively shoot when I do have a buck close to me. And third, creating those systems so that when I'm ready, I can call effectively with my extinguisher and know that it's going to work. It's going to put a deer in my lap. You have to know when to be silent and just wait and let that scenario unfold, and then at just the right moment, call, execute, and put that deer right in your lap. And that was a real key to this hunt.
Want to experience the same results you just witnessed? Use what the Deer Society experts use. The Extinguisher Deer Call and Black Rack Rattling System are the highest rated deer communication systems of all time, and less than 1% of deer hunters will have the opportunity to buy one this season. Get yours today at thedeersociety.com. Order now.